Do you understand the origin of taxes? There was a period when taxes didn't exist, but with time it became the standard. Initially, taxes were placed on citizens during times of war to support the military. Governments, though, were enamored with the concept and made it a permanent one. Taxes are not inherently evil. It's a gift made to the government to help it manage and assemble society. When people in government have self-serving interests, it becomes a negative thing. Taxes, however, may become oppressive for the population. They've also been used to deceive the simple-minded. Governments usually start by claiming that higher taxes are just for the wealthy when they wish to increase taxes. Nobody ever acknowledges that the working class and poor will foot the bill. Therefore, when the notion of tax the rich is presented to the public, they embrace it. However, the wealthy utilize their connections to insert certain loopholes when the legislation is being crafted. Before we go on with the topic, make sure you stay till the end of the video so you don't miss out on the best observation on how the rich get around paying such taxes. Also, please like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on important financial tips. The government learns a year or two after the law is passed that all the wealthy people it targeted have already gotten around it and it's no longer generating revenue. They therefore extend it to everyday employees. The issue is that the common employees can't get around it like the wealthy can, and as a result, they continue to pay taxes forever. The wealthy avoid paying taxes. Any government's attempt to tax the wealthy invariably results in the working class being blamed for the failure. Negotiation is required to avoid paying taxes. The wealthy are necessary to the state, but the wealthy are independent of the state. Due to the existence of other nations, the wealthy have alternative options. But over time, a government that irritates the wealthy would sink deeper and deeper. The typical working class receives earnings, salaries, revenue, etc. The wealthy aren't compensated at all like that. Always remember that the wealthy are exempt from most taxes. Take a look at Warren Buffett's pay. He's been paying himself an annual salary of $100,000 per year for the last 40 years. Larry Ellison, Chief Technology Officer of Oracle Corporation, earned $1 base salary, and then compare that to Jeff Bezos' $81,840 base salary. They're in charge of publicly traded businesses, therefore their pay is disclosed. Simply search Google. Do you see what's happening? Just give it some thought. Larry receives a $1 base pay. How is that taxable? The wealthy can afford to pay themselves as little money as they like since they don't actually need it. Therefore, the wealthy never pay income tax. Their salary is only a safety net. It's always a small sum. People who are wealthy and in the public eye frequently have income in order to pay taxes, to attract goodwill. However, there's no such pressure on the unknown ones. Many of them get paid nothing at all. What's their process then? You'll soon find out. The wealthy are encouraged to maintain their funds in the system. When you own $1 billion, the government is more concerned with seeing that you retain that amount in the economy than taking $250 million from you. Less than 3,000 people are billionaires worldwide. They're free to transfer their funds to any system they want. The economy will be impacted if the wealthy relocate their money, and the crisis that results from it will be handled by the government. Therefore, the government encourages the wealthy to maintain all of their money in the system rather than extracting a little portion of it. And by doing this, you're encouraging them to choose that path, and a tax gap results from it. It's a straightforward method where we take nothing and you keep all of your money in the system, and the wealthy gladly comply with this. Aside from this, the wealthy lessen government pressure. Rich people participate in certain socially beneficial activities that are actually the responsibility of the government. However, a lot of things go unnoticed since the government is frequently overburdened with tasks. A wealthy individual who takes care of these things deserves some compensation. The wealthy can choose social responsibility in many nations, which allows them to avoid paying taxes. Their taxes may occasionally be decreased, and they can fully avoid paying taxes in other situations. How much social duty they've accepted will determine this. Rich people will benefit from this as well. Many times, the money they spend on these social obligations equals the taxes that they would have had to pay. However, when individuals spend the money themselves as opposed to giving it to the government, they retain ownership over it. Additionally, their commitment to social responsibility increases their popularity, which makes the public more receptive to their next ambitious endeavor. The wealthy can also accomplish two goals at once since their corporate interests and social obligations might be linked by a collateral impact. A wealthy businessman in an African nation whose company depends largely on road transportation may decide to repair the roads on behalf of the government as an illustration, and indeed he receives a tax break because of this. Moreover, the middle class is taken advantage of by the wealthy and the government. Middle-class employees are the ones that are most negatively impacted by taxation. Additionally, the wealthy use this as leverage. The wealthy supply the middle class with their salaries. They own the organizations, businesses, and enterprises that generate revenue for the middle class. This indicates that the wealthy won't likely have any support from the middle class if the government punishes them. Companies and firms pay a bigger portion of taxes in the majority of industrialized nations. The wealthy are the owners of these organizations, and the middle class receives its wages from them. In reality, they aid the government in obtaining middle-class taxpayers as taxes. In terms of tax collection, the wealthy are essentially government partners. If a middle-class employee tries to dodge taxes, the corporation offers the authorities full access to find that employee. It's a partnership that both parties gain from. Rich folks employ lobbyists and attorneys who work to reduce their taxes. High net worth individuals frequently employ specialists, give to elected officials, and invest in policies that are committed to keeping their taxes low and their money expanding unrestrictedly. The nation's wealthiest individuals and businesses benefit from tax lobbyists who enable and uphold direct access between their economic interests and lawmakers, basically ensuring that they have a stable presence on Capitol Hill. One of the top 3 subjects that receive the most lobbying in Congress each year is tax policy. Additionally, wealthy individuals frequently hire tax attorneys who are knowledgeable about the tax laws and are capable of doing the grunt work of locating loopholes throughout the tax filing process in order to lawfully save their clients as much money as possible. Contrary to the majority of regular Americans, rich individuals have the power to influence legislation by making their voices known throughout the whole legislative and regulatory process. They have legions of attorneys, accountants, and lobbyists who offer their opinions on legislation and rules and may support them when they take the IRS to court. Tax attorneys are also ready for the remote possibility that their multi-million or multi-billion-dollar client may be subjected to an IRS audit, a disproportionately rare procedure that permits the wealthiest Americans to evade paying an estimated $175 billion in taxes annually. The IRS seldom has the manpower or internal resources to carry out the pricey, labor-intensive auditing procedure to compel the largest firms and the wealthiest people to actually pay what they owe the IRS and any accompanying fines because of the years of continuous budget cuts. Currently, the missing billions are required to support a variety of significant national programs and critical infrastructure improvements. Always assume you're speaking to a newcomer to the game whenever you hear someone promise to make the wealthy pay higher taxes. You need to first realize that the wealthy are not loyal to any nation. Almost any country is available to you when you have hundreds of millions of dollars, provided you're not a criminal. The wealthy will just relocate their money to another country if a nation declares that it'll frustrate the affluent in that nation. Swiss banks in locations like the Cayman Islands exist for this reason. After all, they are the rightful owners of the funds, not the government. The wealthy have choices. They're free to invest their money anywhere they like. They need to have a strong motivation to maintain their money in a nation where it benefits them the most. Yes, it is difficult to withdraw money from a country, particularly if significant investments have been made there. However, if it gets to that stage, the wealthy will still manage it. A totalitarian dictatorship would also be established if you advocated for a law prohibiting wealthy people from moving their money from one nation to another. It's a violation of freedom. Therefore, the money will start to flow out in large amounts before that law is approved. Thus, in order to retain their money in the system, the government can only reach agreements with the wealthy. Rich people can have investments that are so large that moving them is a significant challenge. That prompts them to take the following action. Furthermore, political candidates are financed by the rich. The wealthy support politicians to make sure their interests are upheld. Not that they pay them to endorse their opinions, instead they seek out those who will inevitably agree with them and provide as much funding as they can. The wealthy have successfully rigged political elections on numerous occasions throughout history. This is especially true if a candidate poses a danger to demolish the enterprise the voter has devoted their entire lives to developing. They'll engage in combat with all available resources, and frequently, they get their way in the end. Therefore, the wealthy avoid being singled out by the government by supporting politicians who are aware of and supportive of their interests. However, occasionally the government develops its own infrastructure that is more harmful than the wealthy. The people who rely on the government for their livelihood are the establishment, not the wealthy. They don't run businesses or lead organizations as the wealthy do. Additionally, they occasionally use the populace against the wealthy. Finally, the rich are not people. The tax code does not treat the wealthy as distinct persons. This explains why they're unemployed, and they don't pay any taxes because of this. What's their method? For the purpose of clarity, this explanation has been condensed. Rich men who own profitable businesses do not register themselves as employees of their businesses as everyone else does. His every amenity will be covered by business costs. He presents himself as a resource for the business, so that's all the taxes he'll pay when the firm gets taxed. He's not an individual, rather, he's a corporation asset. The majority of taxes imposed against the business are based on its profits. Revenue minus costs equals profit. Since the wealthy already have all they need outside of business expenditures, the tax on their earnings will only have an impact on the future of their firm, not their way of life. Of course, the government wants their businesses to continue to succeed. Taxes must be paid before determining the profit, but following earnings, the main taxes are levied. And before calculating the profit, the wealthy's living expenditures are already removed from the revenue, because wealthy people are alive assets to their company. This is regarded as fair. These are some of the principles and beliefs behind the wealthy's lack of taxation. You could get upset over it, but it won't really make a difference. Or you may utilize part of it to simplify your life by taking some of its components. Depending on the nation, each tax loophole has a different set of rules. Before taking any action of your own, consult with a licensed tax attorney. What are your thoughts on taxation? Comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please support our channel by liking and subscribing. Tap the notification bell and we'll keep the videos coming. Until next time!